Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the tipping point. The violence, the widespread fear, the infamy, and the constant media defense running for their voter base. Their liberal voter base, their leeching voter base, the voter base that winds up on welfare. Something like 40% of new arrivals from you know where are economically unresponsive, unparticipating. They're on welfare. They have a large family. Like some of these people have like, 6, 10, 12 kids. People want to call it a miracle. Yeah, it's a miracle because you don't have to pay for it. Ladies and gentlemen. And dude, did I ever strike a nerve tonight? Like they just did not want me to sleep. These fucking Sikhs and Pakis revving their fucking engines all night. That's why we all got to take a stand. From here on in, there's a separation between us and the subhumans, and they have left their mark. They have to deal with the grooming gang scandal, not us. They want to drag other people down with them. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I commented on this. Actually, I think I did it because it was in one of my deleted videos. But if I did, I'm just gonna repeat it. So there's this guy. I think his name is Chilled Guy something on Instagram, and he's going around trying to like gain like apologies or like subdue the like hatred against the Pakistanis or whatever the fuck, right? And he's calling the grooming these poor grooming gang members his words, right? Man's got a fucking black eye on his Instagram. And then he's just like, after a while, he just starts putting on his like, what is it, Louis Vuitton glasses, the big ass fucking shades, to, like cover up his fucking eyes and shit. Yo, man, the world's finding out that like these people have help from all around and shit, and this is their culture. I've actually went on a web page where there was this Sikh girl, and I wanted to actually like I don't know save it or follow her or anything like that, but then it's just like I don't know that will probably maybe bring up trauma for her and shit, and she's dealing with it in her own way and stuff. Talking about her own family, flesh and blood. So her dad, her brother, were abusing her and shit. And as far fetched as it sounds, for most normal people, like this is actually a norm in their society. And it only goes further. Like they don't like animals. They like to have sex with animals or something like that. And then they get like this weird kind of like power fixation where if the animal doesn't like them, they think that the animal's like unclean or some shit like that. Well, why'd you stick your dick in the dog and shit? Fuck man. That's why we're dealing with subhumans because can you imagine like nobody tells you any of this shit and then like out of nowhere you see somebody trying to like capture a goose or a seagull, and then like they grab it and they take it home and they cook it, and you're just like, um, why? And then I made the observation about this thing that I figured out about these types of people. It isn't so much that you're wrong in anything, like if you're flamboyant, if you're like eccentric, if you're I don't know, like different, right? They don't hate you for that. It's the fact that their culture enables them, sorry, to persecute you, to attack you, to like make fun of you, embellish you, and the whole like family will get in on it. Mothers, fathers, aunts, like the entire fucking family, and they're all smiling and laughing like it's a family affair. And it's the same thing when it comes to girls, air quotes, who wear inappropriate clothing or just girls that they jerk off to. Because I went on the AI on Google and I asked, right, like, what is the Pornhub consumption in Pakistan? And this is gonna blow your fucking mind. 20 million daily, daily users, and that's an underestimate. 20 million daily users. Now, a lot of these people are smart and they don't want to get like in trouble, air quotes. I don't think their government gives a fuck. They just say that they do because it looks good on the surface, but then in reality, it's a daily thing for them. They're not alone. Like a lot of the Middle East, Turkey, like they're very into the porn, the pornography. So their interaction, their first introduction to the opposite, sorry, not opposite, different ethnicities and cultures, specifically Europeans, is pornography, which that's probably the worst starting position for them. But if we're talking about like daily users, like you have to understand something. Like if I were to do that, like if most normal people were to do that, like they will go insane, right? Like you'd start maybe like whatever. And I'm not trying to like talk about like this personal ass shit or whatever. I'm just saying that like I find it fucking abnormal that you have a daily fixation on pornography. Now this isn't uncommon, but when we're talking about 20 million and that's an underestimate, like how widespread is this problem? How many guys coming in through these boats hold these views, these values? They say a lot of them, because according to the AI, it says a lot of the people who consume porn in Pakistan actually do it on their cell phones on mobile. So likely the number's probably much like higher. So we're looking at like possibly 50 to 100 million daily users using pornography, if not more even. Fuck. So why bring them into the country? Why have them here? Why like well the corporations wanted them here and they lobby your government, our government. They say, look, we need employees, we need workers, we need to fill these positions, these factory positions. It's good for the economy. It's good for their economy. Let's be specific. It's good for their economy. These motherfuckers have been nickel and diming the workforce, the Canadian workforce, and workforces in general forever. Like look no further than Tim Hortons. Like you had a respectable Canadian family coffee shop 24, for truckers, for everybody, like basically, right? Had them in subways. It's very, you know, visible. It's like, oh, it's Tim Hortons. It's you want to get a coffee, you want to get donuts. Now people are complaining. They're like, what the fuck is this place? They're hiring a bunch of Indians. All the fucking food sucks. This like people are rude to you and shit. People don't even fucking prepare the food without like fucking doing some nasty shit. Like it's a fucking shit show. And what do they do in response to it? Well, it's like, we gotta settle in these new Canadians. We have to like, be more accepting of the new arrivals. And then like more and more customers just shy away from it. Like I think the big one was like a lot of Canadians were just looking forward to Dunkin' Donuts. And it's not because it's like they're anti-Canadian. It's just out of spite for what the company's doing. Like Tim Hortons itself is an anti-Canadian corporation, as far as I'm concerned. Hiring up all these fucking immigrants and shit, all these fucking, and we all know the reason why. It's the whole H-1B visa fucking hustle. We're all fucking sick of it. Alright, we're all fucking sick of it. These people don't belong here. They derelict their own countries. Their own countries are gonna have a much harder time due to brain drain, economic, hardships, and like lack of manpower and infrastructure, because these people want to have a fucking free ride. And who's paying for it? Well, the taxpayer first, and then everybody else. It's like, where's your kids? Like, I think I made a comment about this. It's like a casual observation. My grandfather's generation, and subsequently my father's generation, noticed the trend amongst the Caucasians that they were having much smaller families than they usually did. At least in comparison to what they did back in the day. Now, this isn't 100% of the case, but it's pretty high up there. I would say like 70 to 80% of Caucasians now have much smaller families, and it's destroyed their race in the sense that since voting outside of America counts as like one person per vote type shit, it's so easy to throw the system, especially in a non like Like there's no safety measures to prevent these immigrants from voting in these Canadian elections and shit. So we're just gonna have a perpetual landslide victories of these fucking not maybe not landslide victories, but just consistent victories for the Liberal Party till the end of fucking time. And then, safety of everybody be damned. Cops very much included. Cops are dealing with the fact that, and I give cops some shit, like specifically Toronto police because they harass me and shit, right? But I give them that shit because it's like, well, not only are they getting hurt by these policies and shit, but like, they're dying for absolutely, utterly no reason. Like these cops who would have most likely been pillars of society and like, whatever, even just starting off and shit, have to deal with like, reckless driving, fucking, people don't even have licenses and shit. People with like, guns smuggled in from south of the border, gangs and shit, and now like terrorists coming into the country that are either, paid for hitmen or just like religious fanatics. It's an uphill battle for them, and we all unfortunately have to acknowledge it together. We can't fight it, obviously. It's their job, but like, what I mean. Like, we have to all acknowledge it simultaneous. Like this isn't sustainable, and it's not so much to tell these politicians what to do anymore because we know that they're not going to do jack shit. So a permanent separation, a permanent division is required between us and the subhumans. Let them have their culture. Let them stink up the place. Let them pull out their phones and like secretly film girls and shit, little girls. It's the thing that they do. I was actually in Yorkdale yesterday, and I pulled out a phone, right? And I have this thing on my iPhone where I can just press a button and it flips the lens, so the camera lens is actually the screen, and I can just take a picture while I'm like looking at myself. It's pretty cool. And then some guy thought I was taking a picture of him, and it's like, yeah, because it's like I'm brown and shit. I actually don't whatever. But then like, he hears me talk and shit, maybe, and then I tell him like, yeah, I'm taking a picture of myself. Sorry, right? Like at least a little bit of cordial whatever. Like if he wants to come up to me and check my phone, yeah, for sure. But like, you know what I mean? Like I understand where these people are coming from. Like I'm getting like a lot of YouTube videos, and I even got one on my Instagram. This one's pretty fucking intense too. So of like guys just going up to girls and harassing them and shit, right? And then they do the thing that Henry was told, which is pull out your phone and start filming, so you can like have a better case, I guess. And guess what? It's kind of crazy how I said that these guys are a collective consciousness and they don't have individuality, they don't have a soul, they don't have like, anything. Like they're just blank parasites, pests, like vermin. And people will be like, oh, that's so inhumane, or you just hate them. This is hate speech. So, two different instances, right? Henry Nowak and this girl on my Instagram. I'll probably link my Instagram, and you could just look at it yourself. Um, they pull out the phone. They do what they're supposed to. They were told, right? You pull out your phone, you film the person, you build your case, and then the person starts threatening you. Now, in the case of this girl, it was broad daylight, so I guess that made it better for her. She was okay, but like the guy was highly aggressive, right? Like, yo, stop filming or I'll smash your phone. Yeah. I wonder how Henry, got into that fucking scuffle with like Vikram, and people would be like, no, like you don't know the facts or this, dude. They don't have a fucking soul. They don't have individuality. They don't have anything. They're just like, what are their women like? They like money. They like, status. They like, oh, white guys, like they're nothing. We're so powerful. We're like princesses. Okay, well, how much of a princess are you if you never used hair removal products? I'm serious about that. How much of a princess are these fucking Pakis and Punjabis are if they never used hair removal products in their life? I'm pretty sure they're not princesses at all. Some fucking Chewbacca ass rat fucks. So, am I in the wrong to draw that conclusion? To say that, oh, you do what you're told, white person, outstanding citizen, Your parents or the community cops, whoever the fuck told you, pull out your phone, build the case, and then what happens when they threaten you? You know what I mean? Like Vikram killed Henry, right? This girl was being threatened by a guy who was threatening to smash her phone. What do you think he was going to do after he smashed her phone? I mean, she can't call for help. She was sitting down on a towel if I'm not mistaken. She was like sitting down on a towel, I don't know, maybe watching or getting a tan or whatever, and gets approached by a guy. This is the typical reality of women around these Pakis, these Punjabis. They synonymously like exist together, and I wouldn't put it by me that Muslims would put on a turban to just like, blend in, I guess. Like how the fuck are you gonna tell the difference? Like for real. They both share the same bloodline. They both share the same practices. Both of them groom and rape children. They both operate within grooming gangs together. Like the Huddersfield grooming gang is the famous one, but I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other ones out there. But the Sikhs are probably like going out of their way to run defense because they don't want to know or people to know that it's a regional thing. Like Pakistan is a big ass country. To assume that every Pakistani, because I said, right, something like 20 to like 50, maybe 100 million. But you have to understand, so if India's population is like close to a billion, I'm guessing like, Pakistan's not that far behind or whatever. So there's probably provinces and places in Pakistan where, they look down on that kind of behavior and shit. And I don't necessarily want to vouch for them, all things considered, with this like entire grooming gang scandal coming out. But I will say this: it is concentrated within a region called Punjab. They speak two distinctive languages, which is Gujarati and Urdu. In fact, some of these grooming gang victims, these little girls, would be groomed and forced to marry these men, wear a hijab, and learn said languages, these languages aforementioned. This is a wartime scenario. We are at war with subhumans. I will embellish them with the curse of Azure, for they are so deserving of it. The Sikhs, the Pakistanis, seek to subvert the human race with their subhuman genome to decay humanity into a regressive state. The missing link between man and primate has been located. And I'll even, make a broad stroke. You see, people were talking about what if Morocco won or lost. We all knew that they're going to do shit, right? But when they lost, obviously they weren't happy about it. So they got on the streets and started rioting, as the soccer fans do, as they do. But they exhibited that kind of behavior. They squared off against the police, as the kids say. They started barking like dogs. Yeah. And I realized something at that very moment. There is no genetic bridge for ketchup. If anybody has a kid with those men or women, they will suffer the same mental dispositions, the same inability, lack of self control, proclivity for pedophilia, in group preference, etc., etc. This can't be learned out. You can't breed it out. You can't eventually say that, okay, these guys were bad in the past, but they learned their lesson and now they're so much better now. You'll never be able to say that. The grooming gang scandal will hang over their heads forever. The fact that the United Kingdom, the BBC in specificity, and in large part Canada as well, glossed over the grooming gang scandal says everything you need to know about it, and then some. America sees it for what it is: the erasure of the local native British population. I see it for what it is. The genetic subhuman trash trying to cling on to existence.
So, what's next?
They created a concubine with children. They've procreated through rape. And now the grooming gang scandal will expose every aspect about it.